Welcome to the Windows Computer and Technology channel, and we're going to answer another question here, which is one that I've answered in the past, but sometimes it's good to refresh. We got new viewers all the time, and it's interesting to see the evolution of everything on Windows PCs and computers in general. So, of course, the question is, why do we need a new Windows version? And that is a question that comes regularly. And we'll apply it general, because there are new Windows versions. We have speculation of Windows 12. Windows 11 arrived a year ago. Surprise, surprise. Windows 10 was before. But Mac computers, Mac OS has new versions every year. Android and iOS for our phones and iPads, iPhones, iPads, also every year something new. So Linux distros and versions from like Ubuntu and Linux Mint all have new versions. Most of the operating systems have new versions that are yearly based. So we have new versions once a year in most cases. Windows 11 is like that. We just had 22H2. Windows 10 now is in a quiet mode, so it's getting these very small updates that are kind of classified as Windows versions, but we can say that they're really in reality just a little cumulative updates. But why do we need updates all the time like that? Why do we require to have these? Well, it depends on the operating system, and it depends on many things. First of all, there used to be a time when a new version of Windows was absolutely required for one reason, is that in old systems like Windows XP and even Windows 7, one of the things that happened is these systems were built in a way that every time you update, you just make it bigger. And you just have tweaks to change this and that. It comes to a point where you can't really continue doing this forever. And what happens is that as new technologies appear, Windows needs to have all the new tools to require those new technologies. It goes from, if you go in the past, we went from DOS to Windows 3 and Windows 95 for a lot of people. Each new version dealt with new technologies. The arrival of 16-bit and 32 bits, and now we're at 64 bits processing power. The new features of we now need more networking, and then Windows 95 had to have a module added to be able to go on the internet, because it wasn't designed at the start for that. And all of that together means that the Windows operating system needs to add capabilities for the new technologies. We are in a fast-paced technology world right now. Things are changing at an incredible speed. And what happens is that all the technologies that we have and all the things that we use, well, it evolves. And you can see it even in the device manager of your system, that the amount of things in this list of device is constantly changing, constantly has new things. USB ports will move from 2.0 to 3.0 to 4.0 to 5.0. Something new will pop up in the next year or two, and this new ABCD thing, Windows needs to be able to use it. So for old systems like in the past, one of the problems was you couldn't add forever. And there was a need for a new system. So when Windows 7 arrived, it had new technologies Windows XP didn't have. When Windows XP arrived, it had new technologies that some of them started to appear in Windows Millennium, but most of them were integrated. And, that's why from Windows 98, where you needed a disk to install a USB thumb drive, it became in Windows Millennium, and in Windows XP, it just recognizes the thumb drives now today. So there's an evolution of the technology. Now, that said, One of the things that happened and changed in Windows 10, for example, was that Windows 10 was built upon it's capable of evolving all the time. But that also required these huge upgrades. So every time we had a new version, we actually reinstalled a new Windows. So of course, now with that new system, you can take Windows 10, play with it, change things, add the new technologies, and then just push it as Windows 10 again, but that new version. And that new version has everything of the new technologies that it didn't have a year before. And it's an interesting way of doing a upgrade, because it means you can keep the same system for a long time. So Windows 10, technically, if they wanted, they could have just said, here's, and that was the idea before, here's Sun Valley 2, so here's the new look for Windows 10, and we would have had Windows 10 with the look and feel of Windows 11. They would have been able to do that, because it would have been that new thing they're pushing. So, in the case of Windows, there's a valid question of, why are there new versions of Windows? There comes more of the marketing thing. Everybody that buys a new PC will always ask, is this the latest version of Windows? A lot of people, I've said in another video, the majority of people that have a new Windows, they get it because they buy a PC. They're not like you and me. If you're on this channel, there's a chance that you might be a little more of an enthusiast, and you are the one that is going to click that, oh yeah, upgrade to Windows 11 thing. Oh yeah, upgrade to that thing, or you're going to be an insider. The majority of people are not that. The majority of people are, I'm using my PC until it is unusable or for some reason it died, and I'm buying a new PC. And what happens is that they'll get whatever new Windows, but it will be a valid question that a lot of people will ask. Does that contain the latest Windows? So, in a sense, there's a marketing, because it's truly that, a marketing need for a new Windows. It doesn't mean there's a need for people to have a new Windows, but that's the way it is. And it's the same for every system. There's a marketing need for Apple to have a new Mac OS operating system, because that pushes their technology. They add stuff. It's the same thing as Windows. There's nothing different in a Mac and a PC. It's a computer on an operating system. It's just Apple makes its computers and the operating system. Microsoft is software only. They only make Windows. They do make hardware, yes, the Surface and stuff like that, but it's such a small marginal market that you can't really count it as, it's not Apple. Microsoft purely sells software. Apple sells hardware and software. So there's a marketing need to have a new system, because there's a marketing need where somebody, even on a Mac, somebody is going to say, well, my Mac is old and I want to buy a new, MacBook Pro or whatever. Well, they'll, I'm going to buy the new MacBook Pro with that new OS, that new Mac OS on it. The same marketing works for everything. You get a new phone. You're going to get your new Android phone. You're going to want to have the new Android phone, of course, with the latest Android system on it. Or an iPad or an iPhone is the same thing. It's always like that. We've come to a point where now it's a marketing thing, where it used to in the past to be an obligation of moving on to technology. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.